Hey guys, JBase Phoenix here, and we're back. Yeah, I know you probably read the title. I'm only going back to streaming for an hour. Um, Going back to only streaming for an hour. This coming Monday, 2 days away. Um, I don't know. People were asking for more, more streaming time, more content, but this week was the lowest amount of people that ever showed up or talked since not since I've been streaming, but um an hour just seemed to work better. I'm still gonna be writing off stream, of course, but I guess just an hour will have to do it from now on. So um, that's not permanent. It's of course subject to change. But if I didn't do that well this week, that was the purpose of this week, to test it for an hour and a half to see how the stream went. But if nobody's watching when I'm extending the time, and I told people I was going to extend the time, um, then I don't see the point of making it 2 hours. So we're just gonna go back to an hour on Monday. Sorry if you actually wanted more, but you know. Uh, so book plug, paperback, $20. Kindle Unlimited, free 99 minus 99, and Kindle normal digital, $10. Make sure you give it a rating, 5-star rating if you want. But any sort of rating would really help the book. We're up to three ratings now. Shouts out to my mom's friend's daughter. Um, she left a review and rating. Um, so yeah, ratings are very important with any sort of Amazon book. Um, because it jumps you up in rank. The higher the rank you are, the more people that see it. Um, so yeah, I've also, before we get started, we're gonna go to we're gonna upload the third chapter. Royal Road is being a pest. I don't think I'm gonna upload here anymore because of this whole plagiarism BS. Like, I get it, but it's annoying to have to do every time and have to credit this site in other 12 hours ago. No response. It's annoying to have to credit this site in other descriptions of um uh of posting this, the first few chapters of this book. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. Well, it makes sense. It's just very, very annoying and tedious to have to open a support ticket every time you're trying to post a new series of some sort. Um, let's go to let's add the next chapter. I decided to change it a little bit. I'm gonna do the first 5 chapters, because when we get to the end of the 5th chapter, I believe Lux has his powers. So we're gonna leave people with wanting more. Whoever sees it on Wattpad. Apparently, nobody ever sees it. So I'd say up to chapter 5 is free on all of these sites, and then past that, you just gotta buy the book if you wanna read more, or you could listen to an earlier version on my YouTube channel that I read. Audiobook coming soon. I'm running into problems with the narrator right now. It's like he mispronounced the names of a lot of the characters, and I gave him a list of the names, how to pronounce the names beforehand, but apparently he didn't get it until after he recorded most of it. And he also makes mistakes, and he's telling me to provide timestamps for when his mistake is made. Like, why did he not correct the mistake in the first place? It's like he's through it, uh, running through it entirely once. Like, that is, I don't think that's how you're supposed to record. Like, he'll make a mistake, go back and say the line over again, but I'm hearing that. Like, he's submitting that to me. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Um, Plus, with the name pronunciation, it's very annoying because it'll be an entire chapter of um, somebody's like an origin. The origin will take up most of the chapter, and he's pronouncing the name wrong the entire chapter. And he asked me to provide timestamps for every time he pronounces the name wrong. But if it's an origin chapter, if it's an origin chapter where the name is going to be said wrong a bunch of times, I'm not driving myself crazy in order to fix your mistakes. Because I told you to um, ask me any questions you have on pronunciations beforehand, and you didn't ask anything, and then you just assumed you had the name right, and then recorded that and send that to me, and then ask me to tell you where your mistakes are. Like, I'm paying you to do this. That's not how this works, dude. So I'm running into problems with him right now. I'm hoping I can get the audiobook out as soon as possible. Maybe people will read that more. I'm not entirely well listen to that more. I'm not entirely sure, but a lot's happening. I had the interview yesterday that went really well. I'm happy there were no awkward moments of any sort. But I got a lot of support from that. I'm hoping something good comes of that. I don't know who's going to watch it, but I'm hoping somebody important watches it. I mean, the library, shouts out to Englewood Library. They were the ones that did that. But I'm just hoping, like, I'm sick of, like, I'm doing a lot of work myself, but I'm also sick of waiting on people. Like, waiting on the right person to come across my stuff. Wait, who is this chapter about mainly? Let's put Ignitro on here. Um, it just feels like I'm waiting right now. Like I said, I'm still doing, like, you can see every time I'm streaming. And before I was streaming, I was here, I'll show you a picture. I was designing the main character for the free series that I'm developing, the one that we've been writing on stream. Here, I'm gonna just show you guys the photo. I'm drawing it's mirrored. Wait, is it mirrored? I'm drawing Zero for the no, it's not mirrored. That's odd. I'm drawing Zero for the Disturbed Delinquents series. Um, so it's not like I'm constantly playing game. I do play games a lot, but it's not like I'm constantly playing games off stream all the time. Um, it just feels like I'm sitting here waiting. I don't like. I'm not the most patient person, but I don't know. Yeah, rant over. I guess I'm not sure. What was I looking for? Oh, Nitro's picture. What's up, Joe? Working with that narrator sounds tough, bro. Yeah, and it sucks because he's a really good narrator and great voice and everything. But like he's asking me to tell him where his mistakes are. Like I'm paying you a good amount of money to read this book for me, and you're telling me to fix your mistakes. Like, what? Like, I'm not going. It's not that I don't have time. I'm not going to give that time to fixing your mistakes and telling you where your mistakes are. My job is to listen to the book. In this case, it's to listen to your audio, and make sure everything is pronounced okay and make sure everything is said okay. Like, why am I doing finding your mistakes for you? You should know where your mistakes are. You should have known that when you sent in the audio. Um, I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted. Nitro. Like I said, we're gonna post the first. I might just delete my Railroad account, to be honest. Um, but I'm posting the first 5 chapters. I changed it from 3 to 5. on Wattpad and Scribblehub. Those are probably your easiest bets. I'd recommend Scribblehub because Wattpad, if you Joe said if you post on like Wattpad, it's catered towards what is this? It's catered towards romantic novel garbage. Um, not that it's garbage. I'm very annoyed right now. Um, that's not my genre. It's not for me. It's catered toward that, which doesn't make any sense because they have all these genres on the site, but none of those genres get any sort of attention. Um, but if you're gonna read the first 5 chapters, like if you couldn't buy the book, I'd recommend reading it on Scribblehub. See, we have 8 readers in this was we had 8 readers before I posted the second chapter. I think did I post it last night? No, we had 5 readers before I posted the second chapter. We have 8 readers for for this book with only the first 2 chapters done and a 5-star rating. Don't know where the 5-star rating came from, but if you did that, shout outs to you. Um, like this site is probably the best for me to post my free stuff on. Like I might just X out Wattpad and well, I already said I might delete my railroad. But if I might X out Wattpad and just exclusively post the Scribble. Not that I have a deal with them or anything, but like this gets the most traffic out of the 3 sites. Like Wattpad, my stuff gets nothing. Royal Road, it gets a decent amount, but nothing. It gets views, but nothing is other than that, it doesn't get anything. Plus, like I said, this whole support ticket plagiarism crap is annoying. I imagine them fantasy authors might have it hard with all the names they create. Yeah, I gave him the list of names though, and a lot of them are English names, like the name Mila, Mila. He pronounced it Mila for an entire chapter that was half an hour long. And I started to make a list. I made a page long list of errors and timestamps where he just said her name wrong, and then halfway through it, I was like, wait, why am I doing this? This is your job. Like that didn't make any sense to me. All right, that's posted. Um, cool. All right, so I started going crazy because I started creating a list for the disturbed delinquent characters, and I was thinking, considering making it a graphic novel or a web comic, still letting it be free, but I'd have to have some sort of return from it, I think, which is why I also have my Patreon. Um, so I'd probably link my Patreon in there somewhere. So if I were to do this series as a graphic novel, I would need somebody who um, can take one time payments. Um, but it need to be somebody I can collaborate with on pretty much a daily basis because I'm not entirely sure if I can design all of these characters in the amount of time I'm trying to do it. Like I'm trying to get this series out maybe within the next month. Um, and no, not all these characters in like the first chapter. But eventually in the series, there are going to be all sorts of these characters. It's essentially like think of it as another descendant, just on a different planet, and there's a rule, a power system rule, and all of that. The characters have a very straightforward goal, which is taking down Omnispect and all of his CEO and underground villain cronies. Um, but there's with all of these creative superpowers I'm getting for creating this series. Like whenever I come up with a creative superpower, I'm catering it towards this series. I'm gonna put that character in this series. Um, but yeah, if I just started to design the main character of this series, I do not see me like giving myself enough time to do all of this. First of all, I'm not the greatest artist, and it takes me a while to do any sorts of sketch. If it's even if it's just concept art, it takes me a minute. Um, but yeah, I could see it as a graphic. I spelled these wrong. I could see it as a graphic novel series, definitely. Um, but I need to, if I released it as a graphic novel, I need some sort of following on like Patreon or something. That way, I can keep paying the artist in order to put this out for free. You know, um, I don't know, man. It's just difficult. Um, it's difficult uh, finding ways to put yourself out there without being stupid and having like your 15 minutes of fame for doing something ridiculously stupid where you get yourself hurt or embarrass yourself or something like that. What I'm doing is pretty niche as far as like appealing to writers and stuff. Um, but yeah, if I'm not doing anything else like besides just this, it's pretty difficult. Like I wasn't a huge YouTuber. I wasn't I'm not popping on Instagram for whatever reason. Like I don't have any sorts of social media where I have a huge following where people can show support. Um, you know, I don't know. It's difficult. I mentioned that on the Q&A yesterday too. Like I'm trying my best as far as marketing goes, but when you're the only person doing it by word of mouth to family and maybe family friends or friends, like it's can be pretty grating. Okay, I think we had all the powers. Um, After image, I think that was the last something. Uh, okay, so I'm trying to think of which one. Maybe the Raiden Hat person. Trying to think of which one would be the best to develop right now as far as their new thing goes. So special items. This is all superpowers, so I can close out special items. This is the interview notes. I can close that too. Man, it's being just as slow as when I was streaming music. I'll close this out for now. Um, Close this out. Don't need this open. What else is open? Not as many tabs as I normally have open. Yeah. Hopefully, me closing out the tabs will do something. Okay. So these are all the new characters I'm currently developing for this series. So you can see most of them don't even have names yet, which is why I said it'd take me a while to even come up with designs for these people. Like, I like having pretty unique designs for my characters, so yeah. Under the you guys probably don't see it. Um, Under the new document, I have like some design choices I'm going to add to a few, maybe of the main characters. So Disturb is kind of like a cyberpunk dystopia esque world. So these are some of the things I probably gonna add to some of the characters. Like I think Sierra's gonna have glowing tattoos. Like you probably saw in the picture, he has his sleeves rolled up on this baggy hoodie. And he has tattoos showing right here on his forearm. It goes all the way up his arms. But yeah, cybernetic parts. I'm trying to think which first of all, which character might have cybernetic parts, and which part of them would have a cybernetic part. Um, Zashi might, um, Clad might, and Solace might. And these virtue spirit weapons are for I don't know if you remember me coming up with the power of the virtue weaponization. It's like their aura, their ki, their chakra, whatever. Um, they're able to use it and use like it as tentacles or morph it into chains or do pretty much whatever with it. I decided to split that up and make like a clan out of it. So anybody that is able to weaponize their virtue, which would go under the self mutator class. Anybody that's able to weaponize their virtue, they're part of this spirit weapon clan. I'm gonna name it. Names are difficult. Names can be difficult, but yeah. Mask. I haven't used a bunch of masks or helmets or anything. Um, So that'll be some some sort of glowing symbols, glowing anything in a cyberpunk dystopia world just looks cool. Probably cloaks with somebody, maybe the Virtue Spirit Gang, maybe not. I think I'm gonna add cloaks to definitely the Malos's evil group that happens in like the 10th book of the Descended series. His evil group is definitely gonna have matching cloaks because it just looks boss AF, epic, dope. I imagine Clad having a cybernetic arm. If he does, I could see that cybernetic arm having some sort of blade within it. Like it could be a hidden blade, it could be just a blade that pops out of the top of his forearm. It could be like under this part of his arm. It could be on top of this part of his arm. Um, hmm. Like I said, I could also see Solace with this. I could see Zashi with this. I think what's stopping with giving Zashi any cybernetic, maybe she should have like a cybernetic leg. What stopped me from giving her anything cybernetic was because she already has a sword. So if it's an arm and it has any sort of weapon within it, like that's kind of just doing the same thing. Which, if I'm going to add cybernetics as a part of this planet, which I am, um, the controllers, which is what Zashi is, the people who can conjure their own weapons, need to have some sort of power associated with that weapon. Because if weapons already exist and all you can do is summon weapons, what use are you on this planet, you know? Um, what's the strike through thing again? Alt Shift 5? Yeah. Um, weapon. What's the power? Laser sword. This. So she used to work for Omnispect. She's also been marked. Marked is when you mess up and it's brought back to Omnispect, you're brought into Omnispect, one of Omnispect's hideouts, and he marks the back of your neck. It'll look like it looks like a tally. He marks the back of your neck. If you have 3 marks, you're marked for death. 3 strikes, you're marked for death. Um, Meaning any one of his people, if they see that those 3 marks on the back of your neck, can kill you at any time. Which is why anybody who is marked for death tries to cover their neck as best as possible. Um, but good luck making that subtle. Zashi makes it subtle by having a ponytail around. Oh, I don't have the sketchbook up here. She has a ponytail that's covering it, but I might also give her like a jacket of some sort, like with a collar that blocks it as well. So if the wind blows, her hair might blow out the way and you can see her neck. But if she has a collar covering it as well, then um, yeah. Maybe I should make it to where it can't be like painted over or makeup over it or whatever as well. Like maybe it's like a magic thing on it, like a magic shield where nothing can go on top of it. Maybe something over it, but nothing on top of it to completely block it out. Like I said, makeup or a tattoo or anything like that. We can add that actually to OmniSpec's new thing. Um, he has a strict code against killing women. I don't know why I made that true, but that could just be a quirk. Plus, most of the people that work for him or under him, or I wouldn't say with him, everybody on this planet works under him, are women. So, he might commission somebody else, like Mend, one of his hench women, to kill somebody that's marked for death. That might be a woman. Um, there's a say when he burns a mark into the back of someone's neck, the mark has a magical. Remember, I said it's kind of based. The virtue is kind of based in magic, kind of based in science a little bit, kind of based in cosmicness. Mark has a magical. What's the word? Charm on it that doesn't allow it to be covered by anything. Something can hover over it, like a ponytail or a collared jacket, but nothing can go on top of it. Top of any mark. It doesn't. That doesn't just mean the 3 marks when you're marked for death. It could mean a single mark or 2 marks. Um, okay. Okay. So what we were doing, we were developing. So maybe I should put like check marks to who we had pretty figured out by now. I mean, you can actually tell that by who's named. Anybody that has a name, pretty set. as far as me developing them as a new character goes. Um, I might need to finalize some things on the way they look, but other than the way they look, they're pretty pretty set to go as far as like putting them in the story. So Zero, I chose his power a while ago, the Shockwave Generation, along with his second power, the Virtuous Eyes. Um, I think I need to change Morphton's name and give him a superpower. That was who. He was originally supposed to be Adaptil, which is the race that can shapeshift. But I don't want anybody having a super Actually, no, that might make for an interesting something. I don't want anybody to have too much of an advantage. So, like I said, there are a few aliens sprinkled or spread throughout the planet, like alien races that came to visit or were born here. Um, Grace, part of the main, one of the main characters of the main five, are she's of the Deadhead race, and she has her physiology, her Deadhead physiology allows her to steal souls and also get empowered from the souls she steals. Um, so that empowerment might coincide with her virtue ability of the auditory teleportation. So if she steals souls, gets empowered. I need to write this. So if she steals souls and gets empowered from the souls, she might be able to teleport farther or hear farther. Like her range might be expanded upon. Um, okay, let me write down the Traverser's weaknesses under her. I need to do that for Zashi as well. So here's her bio if you want to read it while I'm doing this. Right here. Oh, it was called Topia before. It was straight up just called Dystopia. Of the grand space businessman, I made it a space businesswoman, and her name is Arita. Above chief president, nope, that's his actual name. Okay. Let's go back up to the weaknesses. Boosters, traversers, okay. Less physical strength. Let me just copy this. I was gonna type it out. I don't need to type it out. So if she trains, she can actually, she has, gets her muscles up, goes to the gym, she can have more physical strength. But overall, traversers have less physical strength. Um, so actually, we need to make a separate thing like this traverser. And how do we do it for zero? Oh, like this. Okay. Okay, I got it. Deadhead. Soul siphoning and soul empowerment allows um, grants her um, a boost in teleportation range and physicality. So everything about her is enhanced pretty much, depending on, of course, how many souls she siphons. And I don't have any specific weakness for the deadheads. Oh, I did actually. Siphoning too many souls will give the deadhead a high, like, uh not status but state, a high like state. We'll put the deadhead, let's say we'll put the deadhead in a high like state. Yeah. Alright. So she's pretty done. I already kind of know what she's going to look like. She's going to have a helmet on, so I'm not too worried about her face. Even if she didn't have her helmet on, her face would be a flaming skull. Not much to do with that. Strength, weaknesses. Let's move this over. Let's at least do the main 5, the strengths and weaknesses. I still don't know what I want Zasha to do. Plus, I want to get to developing the Raiden. I mean, we'll have time, but I want to get to developing the Raiden hat character as well. I know there's a name for it. I don't know the name of the. It's like the straw hat thing that you see, like maybe some samurai wear too. I just like calling it the Raiden hat. So she's a controller. Let's do this. So the move, if you're a controller, the move is to always have your weapon out and on you, because there is no time limit, and that should actually be a strength. There's no time limit. Limit to how long a weapon can be out. Since there's no time limit, the move, if you're a controller, is to always have your weapon out and on you, because you have the slowest virtue recharge rate. So, here's the counter scenario. If you don't have your weapon out and on you, and you get into a fight of some sort, and you gotta summon your weapon using pretty much all of your virtue, and you gotta wait for that to recharge. Say you're fighting and your weapon breaks, then you're pretty much assed out, because your your virtue hasn't charged up yet. Like I said, here it takes a few hours for that to come back. So if your weapon breaks and your virtue isn't up to where it needs to be in order to summon another one of your weapons, then you're screwed. So the move as a controller is to always have your weapon out or on you somewhere. Like I said, if you have a huge weapon, not the greatest way to conceal it. You might not be able to conceal it, but at least you have it out, so your virtue is where it needs to be at all times, like in case your weapon breaks. So here's the other scenario. If you were to have your weapon out, which is what I suggest if you were a controller, I'm not sure if you are a controller. If you were to have your weapon out and get in a fight, and your weapon breaks in that fight, you still have that virtue stored from already having your weapon out. Summon another weapon, continue fighting. Now if it breaks again, you're screwed again. But you have that second chance if you have your weapon out already. I hope that makes sense. So Zashi, like we said, is a controller. She has a laser sword, plasma sword, whatever you want to call it. But I need for it to do something special, because if she's a controller and it's the only thing she can do, she needs to be able to do something special with it. Which is why I'm also considering giving her like a cybernetic leg or something like that, or perhaps a cybernetic arm where she's like dual wielding. So say the cybernetic arm can pop out a blade and she has her sword in the other hand, she might be able to dual wield. That might be cool. Actually, that might be really cool. Um, let's add the possibility of her having cybernetic parts to her thing. Possible cybernetic parts. Cybernetic arm that has blade in it for dual wielding. And this also, if she were to have a cybernetic arm that has a blade in it, it would not make her useless in case that weapon, like I said, if it broke again, like having the weapon out gave you a second chance, but if it breaks a second time during the fight, then you said you're screwed. If it were to break a second time during a fight with her, and she were to have a cybernetic arm that has a blade, she's still good. She can kind of still hold her own. Cybernetic, wow, arm that has a blade in it for dual wielding. Cybernetic leg for legs for jumping and running up buildings. She's kind of like a ninja slash samurai, um, which is also where that's where her name comes from. Her name Zashi comes from here. Wakizashi, this I don't know if I said that right. The short samurai sword. So samurai, God, I'm hungry. In feudal Japan would have two swords. One would be a katana, which this is a very long, thin sword they're very familiar, probably very familiar with. And then the wakizashi is the second sword they normally have, which is a short sword. So that's where her name comes from. We have graces, weaknesses, and pluses. Okay. Clad, let's do the booster stuff. I was thinking for Clad, like, why is he not? If he has subdermal armor, meaning underneath his skin, there's a layer of something that's very hard to penetrate. If he has dermal meaning skin, subdermal meaning under the skin. If he has subdermal armor, doesn't that count as self mutator? But if it's always there and he doesn't have to summon it in order to protect himself, no, it's not under self mutator. It'd be under booster, which is kind of like the other category, but personalized other category. Um, Meaning it's essentially for himself, but he can find other ways to help people with it. Subdermal armor also grants him, like, since it's under his skin, it'll grant him like strength and probably leaping, durability, of course. um, Actually, I need to add that to this. Grants bulletproofness. Is that a word? Oh, wait, I spelled it wrong. If it is a word, I spelled it wrong. Nope, not a word. Um, so we can actually use. Well, we're gonna have to take out some of this, of course, but we can actually use. I didn't realize I already had it up there. Should have, but let's cross this out. So let's copy over the strengths and weaknesses first. Sure. Wait, I copied over the same thing twice. There's only one. I wouldn't say it grants him speed. No, it definitely wouldn't grant him speed. It's like an added layer to your body. So how would it? How would something adding something? It could be lightweight, but how could adding something to your body give you speed? Like subnormal armor. How could that? I don't see that. Super strength, super condition. No, that wouldn't grant him super condition. He's a very fit dude because he was a bodyguard. But what else? Super combat. No, it wouldn't grant him that. Pretty much a brawler. Super agility. Definitely not. Super leap. He would have super durability, of course. Dexterity. It's like control over every part of your body. We don't. He doesn't need that. Super reflexes. No. Super senses. No. He's pretty much just a powerhouse. Pretty much just a powerhouse. I think I wanted to make Clad. I need to change around their alignments. Grace is definitely lawful good. I'd say Zashi is chaotic neutral. She's not lawful good. So Grace lawful good. I can see that. Clad. Maybe. Okay, so both Zashi and Salish would be chaotic neutral. Ciro's chaotic good. I feel like either Grace or Clad could be lawful good and lawful neutral. Maybe Clad is lawful neutral. I like the idea of Grace, even though she has a flaming skull and all that. Um, no, nothing against people who have flaming skulls, but she's not a bad person. Um, Actually, I could see most of them as just chaotic, and Grace is kind of like the odd one out. There's no problems with that. Problems with that. She's the odd one out, race speaking. Like she's the only one that's not a stellar in her group, and she's the odd one out as far as her alignment goes. She's not chaotic whatsoever. She's like the good person of the group. They're all good people at heart, but she's like outwardly good. Um, Quiet but good. Um, Close this out. Okay, we need to do the kinetic thing. I'm so glad I found a way to not have more than one kinetic in the same main group. I'm so glad everybody is part of. Right now, there are 8 different classes. I'm so glad they're from the 5 characters are from 5 different classes. Because I was struggling not to give Ciro electricity, man. You have no idea. I was really struggling with that. Like, but the team up with the electricity and the black magnetic sand. Like, bro, um, I'm really glad I found a way around it. Like, and plus I like Zero's more unique power anyway. Uh, strengths. Sorry, I'm thinking of what to type here. Kinetic and this. Okay. Anything on Solace? Not really. Alien race. He's not an elemental anymore. That doesn't matter. Weapons none. And after his team is good. Okay. Omnispect. So we're gonna have one for Thief. I don't know how many weaknesses are on Thief, but Ultimate Vision cannot see in normal vision. It's like his main weakness. He has to be viewing the world through some sort of filter. It sounds kind of poetic, but I can't think of anything that might go with that. I went too far. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm kind of out of it, guys. Alright, Thieves should be right here. Omnispect does. I'm gonna add that little note. There are a lot of thief weaknesses here. Abilities are not permanent. There's a better word I can use instead of thief here, maybe. I kind of like it. You use hand motion in order to use ability. Sniper from the rock. Pocket motor. Nah, thief's fine. Kleptos? Nah. Slenderers, cheats, scroungers, stealer. No. Nah, thief's fine. Okay. Oh, even though Ultimate Vision does have that weakness, I feel like with all of these, we need to give them weaknesses and strengths if they're going to have a category, another category besides their main category. Um, Ultimate Vision grants him, able to use 2 different vision powers at once. Let's say simultaneously. Okay. So that's Omnispect. So let's go down to the next one, Kokida. Okay, let's copy over the. I didn't plan to do any of this, what I'm doing now, but I didn't really have a plan. Then again, so I hope you're rocking with me. I know you rock with this. This is the kinetic. Gotta see if there's any places that close at 9:30 that I might have to order from before the stream's over. TGI Fridays. Oh yeah, I ordered potato skins last night. I haven't had potato skins in a few months. Delicious. Delicious indeed. Wingstop closes at 9:15. Dairy Queen closes at 10. I don't want Dairy Queen. I don't want Chili's. Love Chili's. Yeah, we'll put in an order for Chili's at 9:15. Close at 10:15, so we have time. We have plenty of time. But I don't want, because it's kind of far from me, I don't want the Dasher to like hold up the restaurant from closing. I already have an order in mind, so I'm not worried. Alrighty. Kinetic, best range out of Kinetic. Hers is pretty straightforward. Cryokinesis. She can change water into ice and control ice and generate ice, essentially. Relationship. I haven't thought about what she. Oh my god, I haven't thought about what she looks like. I've never described her in the first part. Oh, that's what I gotta do. I gotta start planning for the next. While I'm finishing these characters, we can start planning for the revamp. Even though we're only 4 chapters in, the revamp of the series with this whole virtue system, and also planning for Antithesis's God, his third short story. Plan for well, just that, and then I guess editing. I could probably do that off stream for the second book. Still need the first book to do well before I can even think about getting an editor for the second one. And I don't let me know what you guys would think about me like not improv because it's kind of planned out, but writing the 8th book on stream. I haven't touched the 8th book in a minute, and I stopped because a certain character. Well, you don't know who she's gonna be up until that point. There's a character by the name of Anjani who is on a prison planet, like the planet dedicated to just keeping her there. And the planet is kind of like a labyrinth. There's a character watching. I have the pictures. What am I doing? Stream's not ending for another half hour. I say that now, but then 30 seconds from now it'll be 9:30. So right now in the 8th book, there's this character Anjani who's on a prison planet, dedicated to just keeping her in place, and the planet is just like a labyrinth of sorts. Well, by the time I finish explaining this picture, it will have loaded. Oh god, did my camera? Oh, I thought it did kind of freeze. Okay. So she has a planet dedicated all to herself, and she's, well, you can tell by the cuffs, she's imprisoned. That's not all they're keeping on her. There's more restraints and stuff like that, but that was just for a picture because she's in prison. She was the lover of this boy. You hear about him in chapter 5 and chapter 18 of Descended, Zael. She was the lover of him. So what happened there? I don't know. Well, I do know, but actually I don't. I didn't come up with their story. All I know is that they're ex-lovers, kind of like Dom and manipulation. But this boy here, named Brig, he's the warden of this prison planet, and he's there to ensure that she doesn't ever escape. and we are on, I think, chapter 4 in that book. But guess what time it is? It's time for her to escape. Because whenever you see any sort of character that is in prison and introduced from being in prison, and the characters in the show or book or whatever are telling you she's never supposed to get out, this was made for them not to get out, I guarantee you, almost 100% of the time, they're getting out. That's what's happening here. So this man's Truant. I say Truant. It's Truant. He was hired by the man Monalon that has his 4 horsewomen, um, or had. He was hired by Monalon because he was a bounty. He was a runaway, being chased by the Galactic Guard, the Space Police. He was hired, or not hired, but kind of tasked by Monalon to give her the blueprints to escape the planet. And he has camouflage, invisibility, whatever you want to call it. So he's able to, and he has this third eye grants him like a danger sense, sixth sense for danger. Um, so he's able to sneak onto the planet, put the documents down in front of Anjani, and then disappear and sneak off the planet. And we're at the point where, on the point in the story where she's getting ready to break out. But I want it to be a really epic, like her avoiding traps and jumping up the walls and dashing through it, because she has like godlike speed. That's like her main thing. Like dodging everything to get out of the planet, following the blueprint that Truant puts in front of her. And Brig is watching all this from above, like, oh god, she's getting out. How I could have never predicted that she'd get out. Um, so yeah, she gets out. I think she's gonna fight Brig at the end stage of her escape, and she's gonna go back to the Conqueror Monalon. But that's where I am in the book. Not much being. That's why I'm asking you guys, because I don't think there's much being spoiled in this 8th book right now. Actually, one of the main characters from Descended is part of this space crew, and a lot of the characters you might see that are part of this space crew you might not know. So I'm not entirely. You guys gotta. If you don't say anything, I'm gonna assume you don't want me to write it on stream, which is fine because I could always just write it off stream. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out this whole prison escape thing, which is why I stopped writing it for the time being. But if you guys do want me to write that on stream, you gotta let me know. Because if not, I'll just assume you don't. And like I said, I'll write it on my own time. Well, it's just all my own time, but I will just continue figuring it out off stream. So we have that we can do. We have this story revamp, and planning the beats for Antithesis' 3rd story. I have a few. Well, you've already probably heard about I think it's the Hallowed Hooks, and the Scythe that's being added to his arsenal. So I think in the beginning of, you know what? Let's just switch over to it for a second. There's no point in me talking aloud without writing anything down. I want to know if I already wrote it down, to be honest. Excuse me. I want to know if this page will load, to be honest. Okay. Okay, let's see where we are. Oh, look at that. We have B. We don't even have the first beat of the story done. Cool. I don't have it entirely planned out. Well, of course, as you can see. I think I just named him. I ended up just naming him Diaz. Anti standing before and talking to. So captivity ended where he returned to heaven to await his next task by Gabriel and God, I don't remember the other one's name. I think it was one of the Z ones. It was either Zerakiel or Zadkiel. I think Zerakiel is judgment. It might have been Zadkiel because he's benevolence and forgiveness and mercy, I believe. Yeah, Zadkiel. Okay, cool. Zadkiel and Gabriel. Until standing before and talking to Zadkiel, Gabriel is instructed to meet with Grim and Michael, who will be assigning him his next task. Actually, I don't want to include Grim in the story. Because if I include Grim in the story, he's going to give him his scythe, one of his sides. And I don't want that to happen in the story just yet. Because there's a lot happening in the story. I think I want Anti to get his hooks in the story, but not his scythe just yet. Let's open his short story planned thing as well. Close out captivity. Given new weapons by Michael, just hooks. Goes to Egypt. He acquires. I figured out what I wanted the bow and arrow to be, and it was in the special items document that I closed out. But essentially, the bow and arrow can shoot infinite arrows when pulled back. When you pull back on the bowstring and a light energy arrow appears, you fling it. But when you also pull back on the bowstring, a light shield in front of the bow and arrow, in front of the bow, appears, and it protects the user from attacks in general. So that'll be like the special, another special weapon. It'll be like his ranged weapon that he has. So that'll be a different story. I wonder if I want him to get the scythe earlier than that. Probably. I want him to get comfortable with the scythe and hooks before he gets. I'm kind of changing his arsenal a little bit. I feel like his weapons were too common. Sword is way too common. I love finding different alternatives to using a sword. I think swords are so overused, and a lot of my characters use swords, so my characters are overused. That's not right. But I swords. I'm trying to cut down on the amount of characters of mine that use swords, because swords, everything you can think of with the sword has been overdone. Just the reason Zashi has a laser sword is because she's a samurai, but it's space, so lasers. She she has she's an exception, which is why I'm also trying to come up with something dope as hell to give her to allow her sword to do something dope as hell for the sword to do. Because if it's just a normal laser sword, it's like what the hell is the difference? All these freaking swords, bro, you couldn't come up with something A laser axe. Have you ever seen a laser axe? That would be pretty cool. But to fit with Zashi's name, it has to be a sword. Maybe it could turn into other weapons, but that would be a little too similar to something my little brother is doing with his main character. My brother also creates characters. I don't know how he's doing with the story right now, but he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with all of these characters he has. Um, yeah. All right. So we're gonna have a story before the crossbow and arrow one, before Anti gets a scythe from Grim. Okay, new weapons. I believe they are the hallowed hooks. I need to check. I'm sorry. I need to check. Documents to load. I love my special items. I love all the special items, dude. A lot of them are giving us some of the more overpowered main characters, but that's because I like that whole having an arsenal, an array of weapons that are vastly different from each other. I like that. I like characters that have that. For example, one of my favorites being Kratos, because he has in the new God of War he has, well, and also in the old ones like God of War 3 he had Nemean Cestus, he had his Blades of Chaos, of course, or Blades of Exile, I think they were called back then. He had the bow of Apollo, he had the wings of Icarus, all things, the boots of Hermes. He had all different things that gave him different abilities. The head of Medusa, or head of was it just a Gorgon? It might have been Medusa. I don't remember which one he killed Medusa in. Did he kill Medusa? I don't remember. I don't remember. Okay, hang on, bro. I'm so hungry. Um, Another example here we have Detrius. I haven't named the bone. It is Hallowed Hooks. And the Turtle Sleep is the name of the scythe Grim gives him. Okay, we can move this over and just use it as kind of like a basis here. Structure to meet with Grim and Michael, not Grim and Michael. Yes, Michael, who will be sending him on his next quest. Ty meets with Michael and um, gives um, and gives Anti his new weapons, the Hallowed Hooks. Um, Michael also gets rid of the Daggers of Deception that the other universe Pathiel gave him. Um, Michael mentions uh, adding them to his own arsenal of summonable weapons. Maybe. I'm not sure. But maybe. Um, Gosh, I guess we're off the stirred delinquents for now. Whoops, sorry. I want to keep this flowing while I have the ideas in front of me right now. Good. Sorry, let me complete my order, and I'll be back to you guys in a second. Y'all ever had Chili's strawberry lemonade? Fire. All right. Stunnable weapons, maybe. Um, Michael instructs Anti to go to Egypt. All right, we'll get into that story thing in a second. I want to, because I know he's gonna say some things after the instruction debriefing thing. Michael tells Anti to see Grim after this mission. Um, he also tells Anti that he has already been forgiven, but some of the angels think he needs the redemption. No, I don't like that. You know what would make this more pleasant instead? Nick meets with Michael. Michael tells Anti that he was already forgiven before he even started his quest with Lucine. Um, some of the angels thought um, he should do something at least to show Anti's on their side. Um, Anti like accepts this, but is willing to continue to carry out tasks for them. He later questions why he thinks he should be carrying out tasks for the angels, and answers because he'd feel useless otherwise. Um, do something, or Anti should do something to show Anti's on their side. Um, so this shows like the angels aren't like that. They're not petty. Um, Originally, it was supposed to be him getting back into the good graces and all that, but I was trying to think of a way like that didn't make much sense for the good beings that archangels and angels are supposed to be. So Michael's admitting here, he was like, "Look, we've already forgiven you." Some of the other angels just thought you might need to do something to just show us you're on our side, because that whole story about you slaughtering us in another universe didn't go over with everybody. Um, but um, you don't have to do any of this. Like, you're good with us no matter what. You see your family whenever you want. All of that. Like, you're good, bro. Like, we straight. But Anti's like, nah. Let me keep doing this for you guys because, like you said, he later questions why, but he finds out he feels useless otherwise. Um, so then we get on to this next part where he gives Anti his new weapons. Instead of using the daggers of deception, which were given to him by Apotheo when he was reborn as Antithesis, he uses the hallowed hooks. Hallowed meaning holy. Um, so yeah, gives him these new weapons. He gives him instructions, and then he tells him to see Grim after this mission. Um, Welcome to stream, why would he? Oh, yeah, it's my question. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I thought it was kind of off that it made like the angels seem kind of petty. Like, oh, he killed us in another universe, even though he's slayed the traitor Apotheel in this universe. Make him do work to get back into our good graces. Kind of like the Hercules. What was Hercules? I don't remember what Hercules was doing the 12 labors for, but I know that was for the gods for some reason. The archangels, the angels aren't like that. Um, so they already forgave him, and they just thought, let him do something, just 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 so we're sure he's on our side. But other than that, he doesn't have to do any of this. Like, we can get somebody else to do this. We can do this ourselves. But if he wants to do it, fine. Um, so that's how he continues doing. Like, there's growth. That's why I like Antithesis, because there's growth with each of his short stories that, of course, are free to read. That's why I posted Origin and I posted Captivity as well. So this will be the third one. Uh, tells Grim tells Anti to seek Grim after this mission. So after this mission in the fourth short story, I don't know what it's going to be about just yet. He gets his scythe, and they get rid of Dimension Splitter, the sword. Um, Actually, you could have a sword and a scythe, but I really don't want him to have a generic sword, bro. Like, the sword Dimension Splitter, like, it's a really cool name, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't split dimensions. It doesn't create portals. It doesn't create rifts. It doesn't do anything. Anti can do that on his own. Like, bro. So maybe we should find somebody to give Dimension Splitter to. Maybe they can find some sort of application for it. That might be interesting. Um, so that might be let's get the scythe from Grim. Short story. Um, mention Anti gives Dimension Splitter. Uh, there are a few other angelic characters I'm creating, angel-based characters I'm creating. Um, like, there was one, for example, I was creating a character for my friend's D&D campaign, Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Um, oh God, where did I put him? Is he at the top? Damn. Ah, here. Yes. Okay. So it was. No, this is Pharaoh. Okay, here. Scrapped keep origin. So I like the origin. His name was Adriel. I didn't give him a creative name. That's an angel name. Um, I give him Black Sand Generation, Black Sand Manipulation, Black Sand Manipulation. It's kind of supposed to be like Solace and Arcos, who is from the Specialist series. But I liked his bio. He's an angel in training sent to Earth to watch over the gem epidemic about to unfold. The Archangel of Judgment was tasked to watch over. The gem epidemic was kind of like what the D&D campaign story was about, but I can change that to morph it into something else where he's being watched, like he was being trained under one of the angels, like the Archangel of Judgment, which would be really cool. Um, and he could be another angel-based type character. I would definitely have to change his power because I'm already using Black Sand. First of all, it looks really cool. Um, but that's being used already for Solace and Arcos, and I don't want this to be another fire character thing where I have a bunch of sand manipulating characters. Um, so we're definitely gonna have to use his story at some point for um, maybe as a part of Anti story, probably. Um, so I was thinking of which other angel based character I could give this to. He could um, possibly possibly uh, give it to Adriel. Gives his mention splitter up to Grim. Um, Grim could possibly hand it off to another angel or angel based character. Oh, stream's over. Hang on. Adriel is one. Apple Adriel. Okay. So, God. Structure go to Egypt. So we'll get into this a little bit further next time. I might even continue it off stream and just explain it next time. But yeah, we got in the stream. I also got to eat. Very very hungry. I have not eaten all day. Um, but thank you guys so much for watching. Shout outs to Joe and Mom in the chat. Make sure everybody stay healthy and all that. And yeah, make sure you buy the book. I'm getting more and more ratings, which is cool, really cool. But paperback 20, Kindle Unlimited free 99 minus 99. I promise it doesn't look like a blank screen like that. And Kindle digital $10. Um, and yeah, if you guys want to read the first few chapters for free, that's why I'm putting up. I'm gonna go to only 5 chapters across these 3 sites. Well, maybe not even Royal Road. Forget them. Like maybe Wattpad and Scribblehub. I just recommend Scribblehub because well, I can see the amount of traffic that's coming through, and it's great. Um, and even with the cover like this, like I have 8 readers. I had 8 readers for this, so that was cool. Um, so if you want to check it out, the first 3 chapters are up already, ready for you to read. 2 more chapters to go, and then you can decide whether or not you wanna buy the book, kind of like a sample. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna go eat. And this is your boy, J Base Phoenix. Oh, I'll see everybody back here tomorrow. 8 to 9:30, and then Monday we're just going back to 8 to 9 because I think it just worked better. Yeah, J Base Phoenix. Ooh, J Base Phoenix. Once again, wait, button wasn't ready. All right, button's ready now. All right, signing off.